सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. So we will continue from where we left off. I think we are now on the 20th verse of the 9th chapter. So let us chant that. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri Bhagavad
Traividya Mam Somapaf Bhutapapah Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante Te Punyamasadhya Surendra Lokam Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan. Okay. So, look at the words first. Ishtva, from the second line, having worshipped whom? Mam Yagnai. So, Mam Yagnair Ishtva. So, that first Mam is from the first line, Yagnair Ishtva is from the second line. So, Mam Yagnaihi Ishtva, having worshipped me through Yagnaha. What happens? Traividyaha. Traividyaha, people who have studied the three Vidyas. Vidya here means Veda. People who have studied the three Vidyas. And Somapapaha. Somapa is a person who drinks Soma juice. We'll come to that. Somapaha, the one who drinks the Soma juice. And Putapapaha, he has been purified of his sins. Papam is sins. Putapapa, purified from his sins. What does he do? Prarthayante Swargatim. He prays to reach the heavens, and because of that prayer, Asadhya Punyam Surendra Lokam, he reaches the heavens, he reaches Swargam, and Te Ashnanti, there in the Swarga, Ashnanti enjoys Divyan Deva Bhogan, all the celestial pleasures of the gods. Divi means in the heavens. Now, what are we talking about? So, Shankara says in the beginning, Ye punaha agnyaha kama kamaha. So, Ye punaha, then again, agnyaha. There are some ignorant people who are what? Kama kamaha. Why are they ignorant? Because they worship Ishvara, but they worship only for material results. Kama kamaha. All the desires which he has, he wants to fulfill through the yajna, and therefore he worships Ishvara. Sakama bhaktaha iti arthaha. Means he's talking about the person who is a Sakama bhaktaha. Right? Who is a Sakama bhaktaha? Who uses Ishvara through worship for fulfilling artha or kama. He has not yet come to dharma or moksha, far away from moksha. So, these are the two forms of bhakti which Krishna is saying, you choose, you decide. And what is the bhakti and what is the phalam? Sakama bhakti will give you arthakama. Arthakama is what? Security and fulfillment of desires. So security and entertainment, you can say arthakama. So sakama bhakti, the worship with desires is for fulfilling your arthakama needs, your security and entertainment needs. While Nishkama Bhakti is totally different. When you are a Nishkama Bhakta, you are not interested in arthakama. Why are you not interested? Because you understand the limitation of arthakama goals. You know that they will come and they will go. They are temporary. They cannot give you permanent happiness or permanent security. And therefore you reject arthakama as a goal, as an objective, and you say, yes, I will still worship, but I will worship for the purpose of sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi, for the purpose of jnana yogyata, purity of mind, chitta shuddhi. And therefore, once I have come to this stage, my worship is for purpose of chitta shuddhi. And if at all I pray to the Lord that He gives me an opportunity to study the Veda. Shastra Vichara opportunity should be given. So that is my prayer. Now remember here that the karma can be the same worship, the same puja, the same meditation it can be. What decides the difference between whether the worship is sakama or nishkama?
The sankalpa.
The sankalpa, the motive decides, right? So if chitta shuddhi is your sankalpa, then it is nishkama bhakti only. So verses 20 and 21, they talk about the bhakta who is sakama. And they worship the Lord all right, but they ask for an inferior product. The Lord can give you superior product also, but they ask for an inferior product. It is like you have Ganga Jal in your house. Somebody has gone to Rishikesh and come and given you Ganga Jal, big bottle of Ganga Jal. What do? You use it for washing the floor. Okay. So we are not saying that Ganga Jal cannot be used for washing the floor. But the right use for Ganga Jal is for puja, it's meant for higher things. Right? And this is what he's saying here. So he says, Traividya mam somapaha putapapaha yajnehi mam ishtva. Traividyaha, the knowers of the three Vedas. Rig, Yajur, Sama. Right? The fourth Veda, Atharvana or Atharva Veda, usually is not mentioned in the mantras. Why? By now, you should be knowing the answer to that question. Usually, when we talk about in the mantras, we talk only about three Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama.
Atharvana Veda is mainly used for material benefit.
Yes, the Atharvana Veda mantras are not meant for use in rituals. They are mostly Laukika things. So therefore, they are not used. So he says, these people, the ones who know the three Vedas, they worship me through puja, yajnehi mam ishtvaha, and mam somapaha. So soma juice you're talking about. And there are some yajnas where soma juice is offered to Agni Devata, and these people who do this, they are called somapaha. Somapaha. So somam pibanti iti somapaha. The one who drinks soma juice is the somapaha. That word somapaha means the one who has done a yajna and who has consumed the prasadam, which is in the form of soma juice. Now, just to clarify, a lot of people think that soma juice is liquor, right? And so they think that these people who are doing this kind of yajna, they drink liquor. So just to give background idea, there is a plant, a creeper called soma creeper, right? And for this particular yajna, there are certain rules. So you have to crush the soma creeper and extract the juice. And the soma yajnas, the rituals, they run for many days, right? And therefore, you cannot use stale juice. So the crushing is done 3 times a day, right? You crush in the morning, you crush in the afternoon, and you crush in the evening. So there's a very elaborate ritual for the crushing itself. Certain mantras have to be chanted and all that. Okay. So it is the juice obtained by crushing the soma plant. And when the obviously, when you crushing the juice with the plant, how much liquor are you getting? How much liquid are you getting? Very little, right? So it's not that when the soma yajna is over, the priest gives you one whole bottle to drink. It's not like that. You get a few drops as prasadam, right? And of course, there is the other angle also. If the soma juice is taken after doing the yajna as a prasada, as part of the yajna, then it is soma juice. It is a prasadam. Otherwise, it's liquor. And you can drink soma juice as liquor also, but without the yajna and in larger quantities. Here it is simply a few drops. But of course, you see many movies and TV serials where people get drunk on the soma juice. So interesting, see how the traditions are completely twisted. Anyway, so Shankara mentions here that he mentions the name of a soma yajna. So it's called Agnishtoma. It's a soma yajna. So having worshipped me through these rituals, and you can worship through various, like Adityas you can worship as various devatas, Aditya, Indra, Prajapati. You can use any of the devatas for this particular yajna. And having done this yajna completely and having sipped or those 2-3 drops, whatever you get as prasadam, what happens? Puta papaha. He is freed from all the papam. And what does he get? He generates punyam. And this punyam is necessary because what do you do with the punyam is a question, right? When you have done some sankalpa, when you have done some yajna, you get a lot of punyam, right? And the usage of that punyam is decided by a sankalpa. So you can use the punyam the way that these Sakama Bhaktas are using. What is that? Swargatim prarthayante. Prarthayante means praise for. Swargatim means he wants to go to Swarga. The Gati is for Swarga. Swargatim. Swargatim prarthayante. He wants Swarga as a phalam. He wants to go there. So he makes that sankalpa. So remember that in any yajna, the punyam which is generated can be utilized in two ways, either for chitta shuddhi or for material gains. And that is decided by the sankalpa itself. So what is being said? The choice which you make in your life, all the choices which you make in your life, they are not dependent upon Ishvara. They are dependent upon you alone. Right? So Ishvara is like the girl at the departmental store, You ask for something, she gives you that. The choice is yours alone. Whether you want Chitta Shuddhi or whether you want material things, that sankalpa only you can make. Your parents cannot decide, your children cannot decide, your guru cannot decide. That is only for you. Ishvara also cannot decide. And therefore Krishna is saying here that instead of choosing Ishvara, what do? Swargatim. They choose Swarga. And having done the puja and having got the punyam and having done the sankalpa of Swarga, naturally where do they go? Surendra Lokam Asadhya. Asadhya means getting the sadhyam. So sadhyam is the result of sadhana. The objective of your sadhana is called sadhyam. Asadhyam means attaining that sadhyam. Te Surendra Lokam Asadhyam. Surendra Lokam is another name for Indra Loka, which is another name for Swarga Loka. So having done that sankalpa to go to Swarga Loka, they reach that Swarga Loka. And there, what do they find? Punyam. So here you will find that this punyam means you have to take it and understand it as the phalam of lot of punyam, which is what? In this particular context, it is Swargaloka pleasures, all full of sense pleasures in Swargaloka. they enjoy. Ashnanti, they enjoy all these pleasures. How do you know they are superior pleasures? Deva Bhogan Divyan. All the pleasures which are normally enjoyed by the other gods, Deva Bhogan Divyan, they are all divine pleasures, extraordinary pleasures not available on earth. And what happens? Ashnanti. These people, having asked for Swarga, having reached Swarga, they enjoy all these pleasures. Okay. So far, there seems to be no problem. They got lots of pleasures, they enjoyed it. What is the problem? You know? So that comes in the next verse. Is there a problem at all? Yes, says Krishna. That comes in the next verse, which we will chant. ते तं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालम्
ते तं
एतं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालम्
क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति
क्षीणे
क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति
एवं त्रैधर्मम् अनुप्रपन्ना
एवं
धर्मम् अनुपन्ना
गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते
गतागतं कामकामलभन्ते
So bhuktva. Bhuktva means having enjoyed. What have they done? What have they enjoyed? Tam vishalam swargalokam. So tam is that. Okay. Not the tvam. It's not tvam, it's not tum of Hindi. It is that. Wo. Bhuktva tam vishalam swargalokam. Having enjoyed all the pleasures of that vishalam, vast, very big heavenly world, what do? Kshine punye. When the stock of punyam which they have generated through all their yajna, which punyam they used for going to Swargaloka and enjoying all the superior pleasures, kshine, punye kshine. When that punyam is exhausted, what happens? Te vishanti martyalokam. They re-enter martyalokam, the world of mrityu, the world of mortals, they re-enter. And Krishna says, in this way, kama kamaha here is the sakama bhaktas, the seekers of material pleasures. What do? Trai dharmam anuprapanna. They actually follow the rituals laid down in the three Vedas. And what is the achievement? Labhante, they achieve what? Gatagatam. They attain the gati and agati, state of arrival and departure they come to. They are constantly coming and going. So te tam bhuktva swargalokam. Having come to Swarga, there seems to be no problem. I got wonderful pleasures to enjoy. And that too, not for a very, very short while, for very, very long years, right? So te tam bhuktva swargalokam, having got all the pleasures. And this Swargalokam is Vishalam. It is a huge place. It is not that it is crowded. You don't have to stay in a crowded dwelling. A lot of places there. A lot of pleasures are there. And you enjoy all that. But what is the problem? To come to Swargaloka, you have paid, right? And you can only pay what you have earned. So you have earned a lot of punyam through karma. And that punyam is the currency with which you paid for your trip to Swargaloka. And not only that, with every pleasure that you enjoy in Swargaloka, a little bit of punyam is used up. It's like a bank balance. Every time you buy something, you have to pay out. You only have a limited stock of money in the bank. Here also, you have a limited stock of punyam in your punyam account, which has been generated by all the karma which you did in Manushya Loka, right? And now having come to Swargaloka, you already used one part of it for the journey. The ticket to Swargaloka has been paid for by this punyam currency. And now with every pleasure that you enjoy, you will be using more and more punyam. Granted, very long period is there for you to enjoy, and very lot of punyam is there. Slowly, but surely all the punyam will get used up. And remember, punyam generation is not possible in Swargaloka, because Swargaloka is only Bhoga Bhumi. It is an area of enjoyment only. It is not a Karma Bhumi. Karma Bhumi is only Mrityuloka, only your earth, a worldly life. Which means what? Slowly, you cannot add to your stock of punyam in Swarga. You can only use it. And therefore, the earned punyam will be gradually depleted. And your visa to Swargaloka is valid only as long as you have a punyam balance. Once the balance is over, Indraji will tell you, okay, man, your balance is over, go back. So, kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. So, you will come back to the world of mortals, right? And remember, there is no guarantee of coming back with a human body. Like, this is like, I have lived in an AC house for all my life. And suddenly I have to shift to a small hut, earthen hut in the desert. It will be painful, right? And if that person who has come from Swargaloka to Prithvi comes back and goes through suffering again, what is primary on his mind? I want to go back to Swargaloka. So he will again choose material pleasures. And the cycle will be repeated. Right? Now, in terms of grammar, Krishna says what? Vishanti. Swargalokam Vishanti. The problem is what? Sorry, Martyalokam Vishanti. Means he comes back to the Martyalokam. Here, Vishanti means goes back to. Right? But remember that these people were earlier already in Mrityaloka. They got Pudyam. Then they went to Swargaloka. And now they are coming back. So, of course, Krishna says Vishanti, but Shankara adds Vishanti should be taken as Avishanti. Avishanti is they will come back. Vishanti means they will be back. Avishanti means they will come back. So Vishanti can be saying that you will go, and Avishanti is you will come back. So Krishna is talking about people who are already in Bhuloka. The Sakama Bhaktas whom he is talking about, where are they? They are in Bhuloka only. So grammatically, you cannot say they will go to Bhuloka. You have to say they will come back. Small grammar point, but very interesting point. And what have these people done? Tridharmam anuprapannaha. These people have followed the Purva Veda, the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas, which is what? Kama Kamaha, the attitude of pure enjoyment. They all do puja, etc., but they have only material benefits in mind. And of course, Tridharmam can mean all the Vedic rituals only, right? The Vedic rituals are given in all the three Vedas. And interestingly enough, the priest of each Veda has a different name, right? So the Rig Veda priest, for example, is called Hota. The Yajurveda priest is called Advaryu. The Samaveda priest is called Udgata. So all this we'll see when we come to Upanishads. But just saying, even the names given to the priests are different, the rituals are different, the mantras are different, but the idea is the same. Punyam is to be generated. So this is talking about Somayaga, and Somayaga is done by a Udgata. The priest presiding is an Udgata, which means that Somayaga belongs to Samaveda. And Samaveda is in a musical form. So chanting of the mantras go on for hours together. Okay. Okay. Now, incidentally, one more point. I said Rigveda priest is Hota. Yajurveda priest is Advaryu. Samaveda priest is Udgata. What is Atharvana Veda priest called?
Brahma.
Brahma, right? Now remember, the Atharvana priest or the Atharva Veda priest is the supervisor always. Like in a proper large yajna like Soma Yajna, there are 4 priests, one belonging to each of the Vedas. And as I said, the 3 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, and Sama, they only have the rituals dealing with the mantras dealing with the rituals. And therefore, these 3 priests are the one who actually chant, right? But what is the role of the Atharvana priest? He is a supervisor. He has no direct role because his mantras have no direct role in the ritual. But if he is a supervisor, he must know all the 3 Vedas. It's a side point, but a very important point. He must know all the 3 Vedas since he is supervisor. And therefore, what is he going to be? He is going to be a Chaturvedi. The Brahma, the Atharvana priest, necessarily has to be Chaturvedi who knows all the 4 Vedas. Okay, then Anuprapanna. Anuprapanna means following or repeatedly doing what is prescribed by the Veda. Anuprapanna, he does all these things. And remember that there's a repetition is involved because some of the yajnas have to be done daily. For example, what is done daily in Vedic life? Many things.
Panchajagra.
Mahapanchayagnya, Sandhya Vandanam, Agnihotram. These are all daily rituals. Then there are some fortnightly rituals. Then there are some rituals that are every quarter. Then there are some yearly rituals. And then there are some huge rituals. One is called Vajapeya Yagnya. And that ritual is so enormous that it is supposed to be enough if you do it once in your lifetime. Okay, anyway, that's by the way only. So he says next, Gata Gatam Kama Kamaha Labhante. Kama Kama is there is a lot of objects of desire, varieties of sense objects are there. So in this Kama Kamaha, there are 2 kamas, the first kama, the second kama, right? The first kama of Kama Kama is referring to the sense object, the anatma, right? And from the Vedantic angle, we should remember that when you say Kama over here, it's not just sense object. We're talking about sense pleasures. Therefore, even the most sacred of your sambandhas, of your relationships, they can also be classified as kama, anatma, right? For example, even Acharya Shishya Sambandha, which is a very, very sacred relationship in our culture, right? The Guru Shishya Sambandha is a very sacred relationship, right? But if after the purpose of that sambandha is fulfilled, which means what? The teaching is over and I want to remain with my Guru. That is also kamaha, sense pleasure, right? So in fact, Swami Dayananda Ji, he used to say that once they used to conduct this 3-year courses, right? 3.5-year courses. So once the 3.5-year course is over, some of the brahmacharis would come and say, okay, Swamiji, I want to stay here. I want to consolidate my understanding. I want to summarize all those things he would say. And Swamiji said that, no, I wish to say nothing doing, just leave the ashram. So, moment the teaching relationship is over, it is over. It is not that you don't respect your guru, but you don't stand there and sit there to enjoy his company. Enjoyment of that is also sense pleasure, he says. And therefore, relationship with people in the ashram, relationship with other brahmacharis, relationship with your own guru, even relationship with your Ishtadevata in the ashram, all these are sense pleasure only. So, labhante gatagatam, he gains sense pleasures, and gatagatam is gata agata, right? Gata agata. Gata is going, agata is coming. These pleasures, what happens? What is wrong with these pleasures? Gatagatam. They go and they come. They are arriving and they depart. So they are only temporary. When they are exhausted, that person who is Svargaloka, he needs to come back to Bhuloka to get more punyam. Right? You have to get more punyam. The only way you can get that punyam is to come to karma bhumi and do more karma. So out of the 14 lokas in the Shastram talks about, remember that only Bhuloka, this particular universe, this particular world, is available for generating karma. Because it is said that only in the human body, and not only just this loka, the human birth in this loka, only in the human body it is said that free will can be exercised. Free will is there for the jiva, yes, in all its births. You cannot say jiva has no free will, right? Because jiva always has free will. The only thing is, where can he use the free will? As an elephant, he cannot use the free will. As a tiger, he cannot use the free will. As a plant, he cannot use free will. As a cockroach, he cannot use free will. The only way he can use free will is as a human being. And this you have to extend to all the lokas. Whatever births you take in any loka, apart from Bhuloka, that also as a human being, those births are only for bhoga, only for exhaustion of your punyam. The only birth available in all the 14 lokas where you can generate fresh punyam is the human birth in this loka, right? Everywhere is only bhogyam. The karma takes place only in this particular loka as a human being, right? So in Bhuloka, you exhaust papam also and punyam also. The exhaustion of punyam is common to all the lokas. But only in Bhuloka, in the human body, you have kartrutvam, the chance to generate fresh punyam or papam. In all the other lokas, there is only bhoktrutvam. Only in the Bhuloka, in the human body, you have both bhoktrutvam and kartrutvam, right? Therefore, he is saying that Sakama Lokas, Sakama Bhaktas, the essence of this verse is that Sakama Bhaktas will do karma to generate punyam, to go to Bhuloka, to go to Swargaloka. They will enjoy their papam punyam phalam. They will come back and again they will either be born as lower beings, which is samsari, or they will be born as human beings, but you will work towards going to Swargaloka again. Therefore, Sakama Bhaktas will always remain samsaris. This is the essence of this verse. Okay, any questions so far? We are not looking down upon Sakama Bhakti, okay? That I would like to make it very clear. Because without that Sakama Bhakti, you will never be able to generate punyam. And only when you have sufficient punyam will you suddenly realize that no, I need Chitta Shuddhi now, not more material benefits. So Sakama Bhakti is a stepping stone, but you can't stay there. You have to move on. Okay, now we go to verse number 22. So we'll chant. The meter changes over here, so we'll chant. Anyaschintayanto mam
Ananyaschintayanto
माम्
ye janah paryupasate
ये
ये
जनाः पर्युपासते
tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So one very famous organization has taken its logo from this verse. Do you know which organization?
LIC.
LIC.
LIC, Yoga Kshemam. Okay, so in the last few verses, Shankara had said that, but these Sakam Bhaktas, they do the following things, and that discussion we had. So here Shankara says, Ye punaha nishkamaha samyak darshinaha. And again, there are other people who are free from desires, who are free from artha bhakti, arthartha bhakti, all that they are free from. And that means samyak darshinaha. If you are free from the vision of security and desires, artha and kama, then you are samyak darshinaha. You have got the correct understanding. So you have a clear vision of the goal. What is the goal? Atma Jnanam. Right? So he wants Atma Jnanam. And this verse, if you look at it, it is almost bang in the middle of the 9th chapter. Right? And the 9th chapter is in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. So very often we say this verse has a very, very important verse because it has got a very important location also. So the previous two verses were about Sakama Bhakti, people who are Mandha Bhaktas. And who are the Mandha Bhaktas? For them, the world, material pleasures is the end, is the destination, and Ishvara is only the tool for it, only the means. But here Krishna talks about somebody else. He's talking about the Nishkama Bhakta. What is the difference between Nishkama Bhakta and Sakama Bhakta? For Sakama Bhakta, the world is the destination, no doubt. But Ishvara is the means. But for Nishkama Bhakta, Ishvara is again the means. But for him, the world is not an end. For Nishkama Bhakta, Ishvara is the tool, Ishvara is also the end, the destination. So here you can ask a question. Why is it said that Nishkama Bhakti is superior to Sakama Bhakti? Now when it comes to the means or the end, which is more important? When you want to go from Delhi to Bombay, Bombay is your destination. The plane or the train is your means. Which is more important, the train or the plane or Bombay? The end. The end is the means. The end is the more important one, right? So this Nishkam, that is why he said Ishvara is also the end. The means can be discarded. And that is why Sakama Bhakta, when he gets his objective of pleasure, he often forgets about Ishvara. But nobody ever forgets the end. The destination is what everybody is always obsessed with. And therefore, by saying that Ishvara is the end, is the destination, Krishna is saying Nishkama Bhakta always has Ishvara in his mind. Everybody always keeps the destination in mind. The means are coming and going. But here, not only the means is Ishvara, the destination is also Ishvara. So he does all his daily transactions, all his worldly transactions. This Nishkam Bhakta does.
वहां से पैसा ले लो.
But the absorption is what? The absorption is that Ishvara is the
अरे तुम
absorption. His focus is Ishvara only. Ishvara is the ultimate goal of his life. And we have different names for it. In the Puranas, this destination is called Ishvara. In Vedanta, this destination is called Moksha. So depending upon which text you are looking at, Puranic text or Vedantic text, you will find Moksha, Ishvara, Bhagwan. These are all interchangeable terms. And here Krishna says, this kind of a focus, this kind of a commitment, he says, Ananya Bhakti. Anya Bhakti is what? Bhakti which has alternatives. Ananya Bhakti is what? A bhakti which has no other alternatives. So Ananya Bhakti is a bhakti in which there are no goals in your life excepting the Lord. Anya Bhakti is a bhakti where Ishvara is one of the goals, money is some goal, fame is some goal, family is some goal. But Ananya Bhakti is a bhakti in which only one destination is there, and that is Ishvara. Okay, now you can take this as Shankara talking about Vidvat sannyasis. Okay, sannyasis who have taken sannyasa for the purpose of jnanam. Now, what about grahasthas? Because Vidvat sannyasis have no duty but acquisition of jnanam. So Ananya Bhakti is fine for them. Only Ishvara should be there. But what about us? What about grahasthas? Can I be Ananya Bhakta or not is the question. And yes, we can be, because for a grahastha, remember that having Ishvara as the goal, as the only goal in my life, does not mean that I am ignoring my other duties. Does not mean that I don't take care of my spouse. Does not mean that I don't take care of my parents. Does not mean that I ignore my children. I do all these things. But moksha is the goal in my subconscious all the time. I never forget that my ultimate goal is moksha, and therefore every job that I do, it is done keeping that moksha in mind, making sure that my mind does not do anything inappropriate to the final goal. And such a bhakta was called what? The 7th chapter. What is the name given to such a bhakta?
Mumukshu.
7th chapter.
Jignasu.
Jignasu bhakta. Right? Now this Jignasu bhakta itself, if you look at it, you can take it as 3 types from a more practical point of view. Remember that Shankara, when he talks, he will talk about sannyasis. But from our point of view, since most of us are not sannyasis, we have to divide that Jignasu bhakta into 3 categories. So one is the Vivadisha sannyasi. One is a Vidvat sannyasi. What is a Vidvat sannyasi? The one who has taken sannyas for the purpose of getting jnanam. Right? He's a person who has no other responsibility in his life, and therefore he has said that I will study and I will dedicate my life to Shravanam and Mananam. And once that is over, I will dedicate my life to Nididhyasanam. So that is a Vidvat sannyasi. Then there is a Vivadisha sannyasi. Right? The one who wants to take sannyasa for the purpose of jnanam. So that is different between Vivadisha sannyasi and Vidvat sannyasi. Vivadisha sannyasi is the one who takes to sannyasa for the purpose of study. He has yet to do Shravanam and Mananam. Vidvat sannyasi is one who has completed Shravanam and Mananam and now wants to spend his life in Nididhyasana. Right? Both are formal sannyasis. So you have 3 types. Vivadisha sannyasi, the one who takes sannyasa for the purpose of gaining jnanam. Vidvat sannyasi, the one who has completed gaining jnanam but wants to dedicate his life to Nididhyasana. And the 3rd type is people like us, Grihastha Jignasu Bhaktas. We are not sannyasis. And this sloka, remember, is applicable to all 3 types of bhaktas. But Shankara in his commentary, of course, takes this sloka as being applicable to Vidvat sannyasis only. We should note that for understanding, but we can take this sloka. Most acharyas today will take this sloka as applicable to grihasthas also. Right? Okay. And Shankara's sannyasis, well, if you remember Bhajagovindam, there was a sloka. Suramandir taru mula nivasaha Shayya bhutalam ajinam vasaha Sarva parigraha bhoga tyagaha kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. So this kind of sannyasi is called the Parirajaka sannyasi, right? A person who is devoted completely to jnanam. He doesn't even have an ashram. Suramandir tarumula nivasaha. He lives under the tree, near the root of the tree. But this kind of sannyasi, the Parivrajakas, I don't think they're available today at all, right? Because most sannyasis are found in ashrams, mathas, etc. But because Shankara takes this as Parivrajaka, he gives appropriate intention, appropriate interpretations of all these words. We have to interpret it more in line with a general, a person who is a grahastha, who has moksha as his goal. So ananyaha, we will not interpret as parivrajakas, we will not interpret as vidvat sannyasis, we will not even interpret as vividisha sannyasis. They can all be included, but we'll take the broader meaning. They can also be grahasthas. Essentially, they are people for whom there is no goal other than Ishvara. A person who has no goal other than Ishvara can be vidvat sannyasi, can be vividisha sannyasi, can be grahastha also. So, ye ananyaha, those people who have no other goal than Ishvara, right? Now, the point is that if you have completed a Shravanam and Mananam, who is Ishvara for you?
You yourself.
You yourself.
I
Right?
am. Yeah.
So that Shankara adds in his commentary. He says Ananyaha means Atmatvena apratik bhutaha. Narayanam Atmatvena apratik bhutaha means that Param Devam Narayanam, Param Brahma, for this Ananyaha sadhaka is Atmatvena apratig, not different from himself. So very important clarification given by Shankara. Ananyaha means essentially you are Ananyaha Bhaktaha only when you understand that Param Brahma is not different from you. Your understanding is Aham Brahma Asmi. If you are got that understanding, then you are Ananyaha Bhaktaha. That's very important for us, and we will take that interpretation. And this person, Chintayantaha, he has this thought, he has this thinking, this vritti in his mind. Which vritti? Aham Brahma Asmi. Right? He knows that I am Brahman. This vritti constantly keeps in his mind. And ye janaha, so these bhaktas, these people, these grahasthas, what do? Paryupasate. Upasanam means to worship. Upasate means worship. Paryupasate is paritaha upasate. Paritaha is a word which means around in all places at all times. And therefore paritaha upasate is paryupasate. They worship me at all times, which means without any other goal but moksha, they live. They are in nididhyasanam all the time. This is no ordinary worship. This is no ordinary upasana. This is thinking about yourself as being Brahman all the time. What is the main aim of this worship? See, all of us, when we get into the spiritual line, what is the thinking process? Okay, now I have come to study Tattva, then I will study Bhagavad Gita, then I will study Upanishad, then I will study Brahma Sutras. What is the objective of all that study?
To know the truth. Self-realization.
Moksha, right?
Aham Brahmasmi.
Moksha.
And therefore, you are saying that I'm going to get Tattva and I'm going to get Bhagavad Gita study and I'm going to get Upanishad study and then I'm going to do Brahma Sutras. And therefore, after all that, what will happen? I will get moksha. So after all this jnana sadhana, I will get moksha. This is the habitual thinking pattern, which converts moksha into a purushartha. In fact, we start with that, artha, kama, dharma, moksha, the four purusharthas. What is a purushartha? Purushartha is something which you gain through effort, something which comes in a future time, right? So the main worship of this Ananya Bhakti, the main idea behind this worship, which we are calling Ananya Bhakti, is what? Is to get rid of the idea that moksha is a purushartha. Titidhyasanam, which is now we are calling Ananya Bhakti, is focused on eliminating the idea that I am going to get moksha. That habitual thinking that I am going to get moksha has to be got rid of. Right? What is the thinking instead?
I am Nitya Mukta.
I was always moksha.
I was always free.
Always free.
I don't need
Always
moksha.
free.
That thinking has to replace. Right? Okay. Then comes a question. In case of a grahastha, we have hundreds of duties, right? So when he says paritaha upasate, totally focused on nididhyasanam all the time, what about my other duties? When my child calls for food, will I simply say Ham Brahmasmi? No. Now, here is the question. Why does Shankara take this sloka as applicable only to these sannyasis who are Vidvat sannyasis? Because he says that these people are going to be committed to this upasana all the time. So they will have no time for yoga and kshema. So yoga means what? Acquiring things. Kshema means what? Kshema is
protecting.
Kshema is protecting what you have acquired. Now this Vidvat sannyasi, he's got paritaha upasana. All the time he is doing nididhyasanam. He has no time for yoga, acquiring things, and therefore the question of retaining those things doesn't come in. And therefore Krishna has to say that, okay, fine, you spend all your time on the upasana, I will take care of yoga and shema. That is why he says, Tesham nityabhayuktanam, for those people who are constantly doing this particular upasana, yogakshemam aham vahami. I will acquire and I will retain. I will take care of your requirements. And Shankara takes this as the reason why he says that this is applicable only to parivrajakas, only to Vidvat sannyasis. But for the grahastha, his food and shelter has already been taken care of. Why? Because he has worked for it. For the Vividisha sannyasi, where is this Vividisha sannyasi? Vividisha sannyasi means the one who has taken sannyasa for the purpose of getting jnanam. So where will you find him? You will find him in the Gurukulam, being taught, right? And therefore, his food and residence has already been taken care of. So for Grahastha's food and residence has been provided. Vividisha sannyasi's food and residence has been provided. But for the Vidvat sannyasi, who is a wandering sannyasi with no possessions, somebody needs to take care of all this. And therefore Krishna says, Aham Vahami. I will take care of his needs. Right? And here in this commentary is where Shankara actually defines what is yogaha and what is kshemaha. So he says yogaha means acquiring what is required, like the basic needs of life, food, shelter, clothing. Apraptasya prapanam. acquiring what has not been acquired is yogaha, and tad rakshanam, the protecting what has been acquired, that is shemaha. Very important definitions which you come across. Yogaha means acquisition of basic requirements. Shemaha means protecting those basic requirements. Remember, acquisition and preservation, these are the purposes of almost all your activities as a human being. Our entire life is spent in one of these two. Now, if you take this interpretation, then you can ask a question. What about Anya Bhaktas, that is non-Ananya Bhaktas? Who takes care of their yoga and kshema? The answer is what?
Apparently it's them, but ultimately
Easwara.
it's Iswara.
Ultimately, Ishvara himself. So Ishvara takes care of the yoga kshema of the Ananya Bhaktas as well as the Anya Bhaktas. But there is a difference. What is the difference? In the case of the Anya Bhaktas, their goals are Sakama. In the case of the Ananya Bhaktas, their goal is Nishkama. So Sakama Bhakta invokes Ishvara for Yogakshema. He prays to the Lord for Yogakshema, and Ishvara answers his prayer and thus provides him Yogakshema. And therefore, other bhaktas, through the prayer, they are making an effort to acquire Yogakshema. And because of the prayer alone, Ishvara answers. And therefore, he gets Yogakshema. But in the case of the Ananya Bhakta, he does not pray for Yogakshema. His entire efforts are for Jnanam alone. He makes no efforts towards fulfilling Yogakshema. Therefore, Krishna says, Aham Vahami. I will give you the Yogakshema even if you do not ask. Why does Krishna say that he will take care even if he doesn't ask? What could be the reason? And Shankara gives a very beautiful reason. He quotes the 7th chapter. Jnani twatmaiva me matam. What does it mean?
Is very prior to me.
No.
So-
Jnani tu atma eva me matam. He means that the jnani is no other than me.
Atma.
And therefore, and Shankara says, Yasmat Tasmat. Because of that only. Because of what only? Because the jnani is not different from me. And I, Ishvara, I have to take care of my own needs. And when I take care of my needs, automatically the jnani's needs are taken care of. What a wonderful reason that is given. Why Krishna says that I will take care of the jnani. Because the jnani is not different from me. And therefore, when Ishvara takes care of his own needs, the jnani's needs are automatically taken care of. The non-jnani, he has to invoke through prayer. Okay? Now, I'll take a few more minutes to complete this, if you're okay with that. So, let us summarize. Sakama Bhakti is better than no Bhakti, right? That is clear. But Sakama Bhakti does have certain defects. One is that Sakama Bhakti is by nature specific to a deity. And because of that, specific for a particular puja. And when it is puja specific, the puja will produce results only when that specific puja is done for that deity alone. And not only that, when you do the puja for the deity, because it is karma kanda, there are a lot of vidhi, lot of rules to be followed. So vidhi has to be followed, deity has to be followed, puja has to be done. And therefore the results will come only when the specific puja is done. Puja is finite. Results are finite. Even the highest karma phalam, which is what? Swarga. That is also finite. That is why kshine punye martalokam vishanti. Comes back because it's finite only. Whereas for a Nishkam Bhakta, there is no deity. Specific deity is not there. You can practice anywhere. You can invoke anybody. You can invoke the formless Ishvara also. You can do puja in whichever way you want. No rules are there. And the results are what? Permanent. The results are Chitta Shuddhi and then Jnana. So with this, I'll stop for today. One of the most important verses, I would suggest that you again and again go over the commentary and take down the notes and then read the notes. Very, very important verse. Any questions?
So Acharya ji, this word pariyopasate would refer to nididhyasanam.
Parita upasate, yeah. It refers to nididhyasanam. Upasana is not to be really understood as upasana. It is
Yes.
nididhyasanam over here.
Thanks.
And Acharya ji, so here, Jnani actually doesn't need anything. So when this Yogakshema is talked about, that means, is it the Vyavaharika necessities? I mean, or...
Yeah, obviously. From the practical point of view, Jnani will need food and shelter. But since he doesn't make any efforts for it, Ishvara says, I will take care of that. And I give you the reason, because Jnani, Twatmaima me matam. He is not different from me. So who will take care of his needs? I only have to take care of his needs.
Yes, yes.
Okay, with this we'll stop today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat. Thank you for your patience.
Om Namah
Om.
Shivaya. Thank you, sir.